Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Asa Frey with Clinic of Bachelor Garden, and today I get to do an interview in English, which is fantastic. We have here today Sandra McClanahan from Florida. She's a high school teacher. You're from Webster?
Uh-huh.
And we're really happy to have her here today to tell us a little bit about her health journey. She's been through quite an extensive journey over the past few years and finally has ended up at what is an ideal weight for you. And we want to ask her a couple questions about how she started on this journey, how she came to the idea that changing her diet and lifestyle and eventually doing a fast would lead her down the path that eventually led to really, robust, health and vitality. So let me start by letting Sandra do some talking. Sandra, tell us a little bit about yourself and what happened that made you realize that things needed to change.
Okay. Well, growing up, I started out as chubby and then became overweight. Elementary, middle school, I was always, one of the chubby ones. And then after college, became obese and then morbidly obese as the years went on. And 3 times I tried different diets and I would lose, 45 pounds, 60 pounds, that kind of thing. But I always put it back on. I didn't know how to maintain. They were kind of healthy, but I didn't know how to maintain, and I just, put the weight back on with the erroneous idea that you can go back to eating the way you were eating. And so in 2012, I had gotten up to 252 pounds.
252.
And I'm 5'2".
Okay, so 40 or 50 pounds here or there isn't really all that much when you're 252 pounds.
Right, exactly. And so one day, just on a whim, back in that around 2013, I decided to just give up soft drinks, just to give up sugary drinks. My niece had inspired me to, just to give up unhealthy things for Lent. We're Baptist, but she was doing that with some Catholic friends of hers, in honor of them. And so I thought, soft drinks, I'm going to do that. So I gave up, just Coke and Sprite and things like that. And that was easy for some reason. And then whenever 2 years later, I put the scales away at 252, I put them away. And they had the memory in them. But then whenever I decided to try to become a nutritarian, I took them down, like, let's just see what the damage is. And they had dropped 25 pounds in about 2 years with no other effort but giving up sugary drinks.
No real changes except
nothing
for getting
else.
rid of
I was
soda.
eating candy, fried foods, you name it, Pizza Hut pizza, all my stuff, all my favorite stuff. So at first I thought, am I sick or what? And I realized, I gave up soft drinks. So that tiny change did change the trajectory for me a little bit. But what happened was, as morbidly obese as I was, my father had died of colon cancer in 2007. So I had that in my family. And my brother is a type 1 diabetic. And I thought, how am I this big and not a diabetic yet?
Mm-hmm.
I marveled at that. And but I was always drinking a lot of water in class. I'm a high school teacher and I'm talking a lot, so drinking a lot. And so one day I took a big swig of water and set it down and started to say something, and suddenly my mouth went bone dry. And I'm like, that's it. I'm the diabetic now, like my other family members. And so I was worried about it all day. That night I went home and I Googled diabetic diet. And, I looked at different people, and then I stumbled across Dr. Joel Furman by accident. It was him who I came across first, and I saw the end of diabetes, but I thought when I looked a little bit more, I found Eat to Live. So I thought, well, let me get that first. And so I just said, this is it. I'm going to change from the inside out. I'm going to worry about my weight later. Right now, let me get my health under control. I don't want to be a diabetic.
So the fear was
diabetes,
like a motivating factor.
Yeah,
for you.
I had high blood pressure. I had high cholesterol. I was anemic. Even as a meat eater, I was anemic.
Mm-hmm.
I was not allowed to give blood anymore because my iron was low enough that I couldn't get blood. And so I would have these strange heart palpitations. I had sciatica. I had regular migraines. I had all these different things, that were bothering me. And so, when I grabbed his book and I said, I'm going to do this. So I took a week of just eating what I thought was a diabetic diet while I was reading and trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to Amazon to say, okay, I'm going to do it, but let me just see what other people say. And the first reviewer said, let me just tell you right now, if you do Dr. Berman's diet, you're going to have to be eating a crap ton of vegetables. And I'm like, no, no vegetables, please. I could have gone for months without a healthy vegetable. I did. I went for months without a healthy vegetable. You know, potatoes, mashed potatoes, French fries, that's my vegetable.
Yeah, you skirt around the edge of the
Yes.
vegetables and you make believe that potatoes are vegetables.
That's it, yes. And so, but I committed. And so I thought at the time I was committing 100%. I realize now that I wasn't 100. I was keeping a weekly cheat meal for the first 18 months. You know, and so I went from the 227 down to like 175. But I was doing so much better than I had been eating that I was still losing weight, at least 2 pounds a week, even with all my mistakes.
Right.
Because it was so much healthier than what I was doing, and I had so much to lose. So in the beginning, even with the mistakes, I was losing a lot of weight, and that was my motivation to keep going, was the fact that I was having success, you know, and I was learning how to cook the right way. I ruined a lot of pots of stew and soup in the beginning. I scalded them, but I ate every bit anyway because I wasn't going to waste all that effort. I had to teach myself how to make homemade beans, and then I got the Instant Pot, which of course is amazing. You know, so I progressed that way, and then people started noticing, you know. And at first I was too scared to not eat their food. I didn't want to offend anybody, but then I learned nobody cares, really, nobody cares. So I would, you know, take my own food, be proud of it, you know. I've taught myself how to handle myself at theme parks, on 3-day trips, 5-day trips, 12-day trips. I know what to pack now, and, you know, I feel like I've come a long way. You know, and when I came here, what got me here was not the weight loss, because I was losing still. I had a little bit left to go, but you know, I could have continued on probably for another 6 months and gotten it off, but this did it much quicker. This is a miserable way just to lose weight, in my opinion, but if you are medically need like surgery quickly and you need to lose weight quickly, I think this is a great way to do it for that. You know?
How much weight did you lose just with the dietary and lifestyle changes that you made?
So from the 252, and when I came here, I was like 122 when I got here. I got down to 119.
So that took you how long to get from 252 to 1?
With the 2 years before, with that, you know, just giving up the soft drinks, that was like up until 2015. And then from October 2015 until now, from 227 to 119, with a detour of 10 pounds almost put back on when I finally realized I needed to go 100% compliant, because I had not up until that point. Okay. I was keeping my cheat meal, which would sometimes turn into a cheat day. You know how it is for people who are food addicts, and I was a food addict.
You can get off the wagon for years after that.
That's right, and I've had people tell me I can pinpoint exactly the bite of food I took that sent me down that rabbit hole, and it took me years to get back my mojo, you know. And so when I saw that I was inching back up, I said, Dr. Furman said that if you go 100% compliant, it's easier. How can that be? But I'm going to give him a chance. And so I said, this week I will not have a cheat meal. And so next thing I knew, 6 weeks had gone by. My palate had changed. Somebody really wise in one of my support groups said, you need to get to the point where our food becomes your treats. Don't think of our food as your everyday food and your treats are the sad foods. Our food needs to become your treats. And when you go 100% compliant, it's much easier. And now I have my treats. I have my...
Every day?
Yes, every day. My little cup of beans is a treat. My stew that's very thick and tomatoey, that's one of my treats. That's my treat every morning with raw onion on top of it, and I put my tablespoon of flax in it. You know, you don't taste that. I just put that in it. And, you know, my fruit sorbet, my fresh fruit, an orange. Oh my God, just give me an orange, you know? So those are the things now I look forward to. You know, fresh blueberries. Yes.
So you've been eating treats this whole week while you've been refeeding.
Yes, I have.
So what made you decide to do a fast?
Okay, so I did a lot of research on it. I'm a member of the NHA, just like y'all, and so I've had extensive exposure to the benefits of extended water fasting. And I tried my first one. It was a 96-hour at home. I was miserable. I was scared, like, do I really know, you know, am I doing this right? What if something's wrong? I have no idea, you know. So I made it through 96 hours, and then I broke my fast. And afterwards, I was really proud of myself, you know, for the 96 hours. But I thought, if I ever do this again, it's going to be doctor monitored. I'm not ever going to do this, especially not a long one. And I wanted to give a long one a chance, to give autophagy a chance to really work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need it for the blood pressure because I'd already brought that down. I brought that down within just a few months
Yeah,
of
a
being
lot of probably the
Nutritarian.
diabetes went away,
Yes.
the blood pressure came down.
The blood pressure came down. The anemia went away. My blood iron is good now. All my blood work since I've been a Nutritarian is all good. And so I did this because I had a couple things. I don't think that, the AK is going to be affected, but we never know. We'll see. I know that healing continues on.
Well, it's
after
really only
fasting.
been a couple years since you started doing the right thing.
Right, so you never know.
You spent way more,
Yeah.
many years before that doing the wrong thing.
Right,
So.
and I did have one here, a bigger one, that actually went away with my first intermittent fast.
Mm-hmm.
It went away. I'm like, what? It was gone. I'm like, that's real skin under there. That's not even the pink. There's no boundary or anything,
You were diagnosed with bradycardia due to being obese for such a long period of time.
I don't know how I had it, but I was. Yeah, they used to ask me at the blood donation place. They would say, "Are you a long distance runner?"
Right.
And I'm like, do I look like a long distance runner? I mean, I was at my biggest, and I'm like, no. And they're like, well, but you have the pulse of a supreme, what do you call it, extreme athlete. I'm like,
right.
No.
That's the brain deciding that it's a good idea for your heart to slow down the pulse and not work so hard, so that there are no real other terrible complications from the high blood pressure and from the obesity. And that didn't go away. However, after your fast, that did normalize.
It's crazy. My pulse has been up in the 50, 55, 60, 65.
Which is not normal for you.
No, my pulse is 45. It's every time it's 45. And they told me, my cardiologist said, for you, it's okay since you're able to get it up in an aerobic activity, you're able to get it up. So it's okay. Just stop donating blood, is what he told me. But yes, you do have bradycardia.
So during your fast, we monitored your laboratory levels with blood and with urine once a week. And we do that in order to keep you safe, but also to give us some evidence that things are happening inside your body. One of the things we measured was fibrinogen, and you started off with a relatively normal, within the ranges level of fibrinogen. And about 2 weeks, about 14 days into your fast, we took another of those levels, and it was elevated, almost above those parameters. And fibrinogen, if we don't know, is a protein that's inside our bodies that we use to make clots. So it's like if you had little scabs, and fibrinogen are the scabs. They come together and form protective scab around those damaged areas inside the arteries. So when you're fasting and those levels go up, we know that the fibrinogen is being released, and some of those clots and damage to the artery wall are being healed, and the fibrinogen comes back out into the bloodstream. Then we can see that, and so it's exciting for people who, especially you, who've been on a pretty darn healthy diet for an extended period. There's still some things inside that aren't as healthy as they could be. 53
years of unhealthy eating.
That's right.
You can't, that's going to take some time. And so I've been thrilled to know that this fast has helped to get some of that more out of that, that reduces even more my chance of ever having a heart attack.
That's right. And how do you feel now that you're really at a very healthy, ideal weight?
Well, I've been barefoot this whole time, right? I've been walking around barefoot, except when we go to the lab, I put my flip-flops on, my ugly black rubber flip-flops. But 4 days ago...
You're still recording?
Yeah. When I went into town, okay, for the first time, when y'all cleared me and I could go into Viejo San Juan, and I put my shoes on, okay? I put my real shoes back on, and I felt like, and I've been feeling light for a couple years now, but that day, with those 20 pounds gone, more, that final 20, like that, I just felt literally like I was bouncing around, and my shoes felt good, and I was like, what the heck? It was the neatest feeling walking around the sidewalks of Old San Juan at this weight, which is, I was good, but now even better, and just that light feeling, and I just felt like I feel like Superwoman. I really do. I have this like a reboot,
Of course.
you know, and I can't even tell you. And it's continued. Today I was walking, I'm like, yep, still there.
And I mean, since you had a couple days of not feeling so great.
I had 2 or 3
during the
days of
fast.
feeling really sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing, like I said, it's kind of if you're just doing this to lose weight, it's a miserable way to lose weight. I'd rather lose weight just by eating my food and, you know. But this was a rewarding experience. But during the time, you know, had no energy. And I, you know, didn't want to learn. I brought all these things to read, and I was going to work, and so that was during the time. That's what I felt mostly. I just wanted to consume. I wanted to watch TV, watch shows, entertaining shows, and so I slept during the day. I rested.
It took a lot of time to do
nothing. Yes, it did, and I noticed that it took a lot of time to do nothing. You know, even when you're not eating, but you still have you fill your day, you know, with resting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we would lie in the backyard and take in some sun, and I'd listen. I really reconnected with a lot of my music.
Good.
You know, my music from the 70s, you know, during this fast, and you know, I found it to be extremely rewarding. You know, one of the best things I've ever done, and I'm looking forward to repeating at least a 7-day every year. From now on, I want to do this again and just get that little boost.
Why do you think people should do a yearly fast, or, you know, some biannually, or why do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I think that the reset, if I'm coming at it, if I remain with my healthy eating,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I think if you go back to a sad diet, it's silly.
Well, most people do let some of the old food they were eating slip back in.
Yeah.
And so they're not eating a 100% healthy diet. So if you're doing that, it's certainly a great idea to come back in and do a short fast and clean up your diet.
But I've been sad-free now 100% for almost 700 days. And, you know, so I was already eating really clean, but I want to repeat this because I feel like the reset, and the word I keep coming up with is rejuvenation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that rejuvenating feeling. The first day of the refeed, I didn't feel it yet. I knew, though, that I needed to be patient because I had the 3 juices, you know. And so then I knew that with a good night's sleep, the next morning I'd wake up. I just had a feeling I'd wake up with energy on day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. I slept well. I woke up the next morning, and it's like, there it is. And I had like 80% of it back. And then the next day, another 5%. And then by the time I went into Old San Juan, I was up to, you know, almost 100%. I didn't push myself. You know, I had a struggle with one steep hill. You know, I thought that's where I feel it right here. But flat walking, I could have walked all day. And yesterday I did walk all day because I walked all the way around El Morro yesterday. And so, and I was like, this is working. This feels good.
Fasting is really better for healthy people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We use fasting for a lot of our patients who come in with chronic illness to really get out from under the disease process and, you know, get their health on the right track. However, fasting works the best if you're already eating a healthy diet.
That's right.
You come in, you have, you know, really not so many symptoms.
Right.
Could have been much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of patients have migraines and they're vomiting, they have nausea and reflux, and they really feel terrible the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple days where you were not feeling so great,
right,
but you came out from under that and had a pretty comfortable rest of your fast.
Yes, I did.
And using that time for a week, 10 days, you did a 17-day fast.
I did 17 days.
It's your first fast. It's a really good amount of days.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna go for the next year and practice a really healthy diet, and think about doing another fast in, you know, 8 to 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very safe and really healthy for us to do that on a yearly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Clean out, you know, even if you have a really healthy diet, nobody's perfect. We live in a stressful environment. We have stressful family members. We have a stressful job. You know, some people let caffeine get back into their diet. Some people don't sleep very well. And there's various other aspects to health that we need to pay attention to.
Right.
And so it's really good just to take some time off, take yourself out of that environment, put yourself in a controlled, stress-free environment where you're not consuming any food and you can rest as much as you want and rejuvenate.
Yeah, and in paradise. This is paradise here. This is gorgeous. You know, it's a great place to do this.
Well, I'm really glad that you chose to come down here and do it with us. And you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to add to a lot of our viewers are obese or overweight, and they've been struggling for, years, 20, 30, 40 years. Any advice?
Well, I think that, if you start, you kind of get, like you said, like 2 weeks on a clean diet, so you can kind of get some of the toxins out, and then you come and give this a shot for, try for, if you're morbidly obese, try for the 40 days or try for 25, and it'll be a good kickstart. It's a great way to kind of cleanse your palate, to reset things, and then when it's over, then you pick up healthy cooking styles, and learn the proper foods that we need to eat, and then continue from there. I think that that's a great way to get started. It's motivational.
People are scared about fasting.
Yes, people don't.
Should they be scared?
Well, if you're obese, no. I mean, what are the times you would not? If you're anorexic, you shouldn't. Pregnant, breastfeeding, no, you shouldn't. I mean, there are people who shouldn't.
Of course, there are contraindications to fasting.
However, but once you're checked, once you have everything is cleared, then this is, I think it's the way to go to get started.
And she did a 17-day fast, and did, extremely well.
Checked every day, twice a day. Everything checked, and it, that way they know when it's time to end it. You can end when you want to, but they also say, okay, now it's time to end it based on potassium, things like that. This is the only way to do it. Okay, don't do it by yourself, please. Please make sure you do this monitored.
So we have a medically supervised fasting center here in San Juan. We also have an outpatient center where we see outpatients. And there's really nothing to be scared of as long as you're screened and the physician does a proper detailed history and a physical exam. And they take the important laboratory tests that we need to identify if that patient is a fasting candidate or not. People who are fasting candidates, they do great. You lost 20 pounds. You feel fantastic.
And here's the best part.
I'm going to put up her photos. She looks completely different.
The best part is that what I lost was the belly fat. That was my last little holdout, and that's what went.
Well,
and
people usually want that to go first,
and
but
it doesn't. It doesn't. It's the last to go, and it's the first to come back. I know some doctors don't like the expression "fall off the wagon," but if you do get derailed, and you start putting weight back on, that's where it's going to come back. And when I noticed that mine was gone after having a belly since elementary school, that's what I had. I had a stomach, even as a kid, and I was conscious of it even in elementary school. All these years looking like I was pregnant, and to now realize I no longer that's gone. Has been just a humongous blessing to me. I can't even tell you. And that was the best part as far as the weight loss was concerned. That was the best part for me, was that the belly fat went, and I'm really excited now. The weight that I want to put back on is going to be muscular, not fat. I don't want any more fat back, and I do have the loose skin, but I want to wait like 2 years and see what happens with me focusing now on strength building, muscle building.
Toning back up.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll consider some loose skin removal surgery then, because I would like to. I mean, I have this here, which isn't.
Well, it's a lot. You've lost a lot of weight fairly quickly.
But yeah, the belly fat was as far as the weight loss was the most exciting part for me.
Fantastic.
And then the autophagy, and yes, and then the fibrinogens, what they did, just very exciting.
Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time.
Okay.
All right.
Good.